Yes, hi. This is Dimitris, and during this video, I'm going to talk about child support and unemployment. Unfortunately, with the economic downturn and all that financial turmoil going on, there's a lot of unemployment going around, and it's quite hard for people that have been ordered to pay child support or child maintenance, basically, as otherwise called, to commit to these orders, with the result that warrants of maintenance warrants are issued by them by the courts, and they end up in prison. I mean, otherwise lawful citizens, people that have never done anything wrong, have never been on the wrong side of the law, they basically end up behind bars just because they cannot commit to the order, because they are unemployed because of the general situation that's going on right now. It is really it's really soul destroying. It is devastating for someone who has been unemployed for quite too long to try and find employment, and it's definitely not to be underestimated. The question that arises, though, is whether unemployment and the crisis, the financial crisis, are a good reason for the party who has been ordered to pay child maintenance to reduce paying child maintenance. That's the question. Now, the answer to this is that unemployment on its own is not something that is going to get the person that has been ordered to pay the maintenance off the hook alone, because the courts do not value unemployment. They do not determine. They don't decide whether whether the maintenance should be reduced on that ground, because that ground is a bit fickle. I know it is. It is very hard to understand for a layperson who is actually out there and is being demoralized day after day because of not being able to find a job and sustain himself, let alone to be able to maintain his son or his daughter. It's quite hard actually to understand that. Well, it's because child maintenance is it's not something to play with. It's been taken very serious by the courts, because it is a principal consideration. It's for the benefit of children, and they are not to take the blame just because the parents have separated. Before they existed as a unity, and therefore it could have been argued that they were sharing those expenses, because they were it could have been argued that they were sharing the expenses because there was a common agreement between them, or an implied agreement. However, now everyone there's no unity, and both parents being separated, they do lead their own separate ways. They have parted the ways, and they are making, I mean, either of them is probably leading new lives, and sometimes there's a lot of enmity and hatred going on between them, and like they do not want to take care of those responsibilities now. I mean, before they could have just basically made some compromises with regards to what the child would want, because they were living under the same roof, let's say. But after the breakdown of the marriage, many things change as to how the kid's going to be brought up, the court's looking at the lifestyle of the kids before, in order to determine how it's going to continue, and that's basically the norm, with slight differences here and there, with regards to the capacity of each parent to be able to contribute to the lifestyle of the child. And that is the tough part. So unemployment is fickle because there's a lot of parents that do not do the uttermost in their power, basically, to find a job, because this is, again, I mean, society considers as a primary consideration. This is a kid that we're talking about, and shouldn't be taking that blame. The blame of the faults of his parents. There's simply people that parents that do not do enough. They take state benefits, for example, and rather than trying to get out there and trying to find work, and the courts are taking quite a hard stance, reflecting the position of society here, and say that, you know what, even if you are unemployment, I'm going to determine whether you should reduce child maintenance based on your earning capacity. Earning capacity is the capacity of someone to earn. So let's say if a father has been ordered to pay child support, and he voluntarily, voluntarily can be interpreted as sitting at home and living off benefits at a minimum rate, simply not doing enough, having basically filled in a couple of jobs, a couple of CVs, and basically jobbed in some CVs, but he kind of became became complacent with the situation that's going on, and he'd rather leave his life based on benefits than simply go out and run the extra mile, basically. Go to the distance, try and find work, any work, no matter what work it is. There's just a fair share of people that they'd rather because they lost the job and it's quite hard to find something else, they'd rather compromise. It's not an easy thing. On the other side, it's not an easy thing to to go and find a job, anything, because there's a lot of competition. It's cutthroat out there. And areas have they have become over specialized, so it takes a lot of courage. Someone needs to plow out the courage and go and do something, compromise his ego, compromise his lifestyle, and go and find another job. I don't know, probably a second rate, third rate job, whatever he considers to be, just in order to be able to pay the maintenance. That's what that's the message the court wants to pass. It's hard. It's just pretty hard, and it's not to be underestimated. I mean, at least by me, it's demoralizing. I mean, someone has been working as let's say as a CEO of a company, let's say, or a doctor or an electrician, just somehow to try and become a waiter, whereas he had no experience, with no past experience whatsoever. It is tough, but the court is a lot tougher, unfortunately, or fortunately for the kid. In order to prove that, if he proves that he is involuntarily unemployed, which means that he cannot find a job. He has, you need a lot of evidence. You need to back this up with evidence, to basically show that you have gone around that and you have applied for every single job in the book and the newspaper, and still, up until that point, after your consistent efforts, it has been impossible for you to find work. And if you deliver that to the court may be able to understand that since there is no practically work for you, the court has something before its eyes to be able to determine, to be able to assess whether you have an earning capacity at present that basically allows you to go and have a capacity, be able to contribute. Because if you don't have that evidence, the court is going to impute an earning capacity, that you got a capacity, because it imputes that. But if you got evidence, that evidence is going to rebut that evidence. That evidence, basically the fact that you going out there and you still keep looking for work, and it's virtually impossible to find work. The court is going to have something in its before it to be able to determine and decide that there is no earning capacity. Otherwise, there's a presumption that you do have some kind of an earning capacity, based on the fact that you still sitting around, receive unemployment benefits and whatever, and comparing your past, comparing your last job, or your last or your skills with your last job, comparing basically, trying to figure out from your skills and your last job what your earning capacity would be. So it's really good to contact an expert family law attorney who knows the screws and the bolts, the inside and the outside, the inside out of cases like that. So he'll be able to bring a generous bundle to court and basically make his case with regards to the fact that you genuinely unemployed. Now, when I'm talking about, so unemployment is basically a factor that can play an important role in the reduction of your earning capacity, of your child maintenance payments, and but earning capacity is what it's going to turn on. Unemployment is just a spin-off of the earning capacity. Earning capacity is what the court is going to look at, and that's only. The video that the video focuses only on the reduction, on whether earning capacity or unemployment, basically earning capacity, can reduce child support, but that's just earning capacity. This does not this shouldn't be confused with other factors that might still play an important role in you still having to having capacity to pay your child support, pay your child support. For example, even if you do not have an earning capacity, or if you prove that you're involuntarily unemployed, still you might have to pay a sum if you do have an adequate pool of money that supports that finding. However, you definitely, if you prove that you're involuntarily unemployed, you're going to have to pay less, significantly less, let's say, or proportionately less. This was a video about unemployment and earning capacity, and whether your child support payments could be reduced. I hope you found this helpful. This is Dimitris Koulafetis, and as always, bring you live issues in law. Thanks very much. I'll see you in my next video.